Okay, good morning with Dr. Daniel Smith, principal of Princess Anne High School, and today we're going to talk a little bit about school technology leadership and his insight on that. So, welcome, Dr. Smith. First question I'd like to ask you is just a little bit about initiatives that maybe you are aware of that our school district has with regards to professional development in the area of technology integration.
I think we've got a couple different initiatives taking place right now, but some of them are being put on hold as we get a new superintendent and we get to understand his vision for technology integration and how that might impact each of our classrooms, our schools, and our division. We've had several initiatives where schools were set on Vanguard, if you will, is what we've called them, and those are specific areas where schools are focused on certain skills. So some would be focused on balanced assessment, some were focused on responding to student needs, and some were focused on technology integration, based on which each school may be. So we've been working on that for about the past 3 or 4 years now, and as we transition to a new superintendent, we are also transitioning to a new strategic plan here in the coming year. So that's going to have some pretty big impacts on professional development, on technology integration in Virginia Beach City Public Schools. We are also doing a lot more with blended learning. We're taking a close look at blended learning. I think we are seeing that blended learning is coming over into the professional development side, and that all of our some of our professional development that's required for our teachers this year will be in a blended format. And so it's the first year that we have embarked on doing that with professional development with all teachers. So all teachers will be involved in some of that blended format with professional development this year. We're also taking a much closer look at personalized learning and what that might mean for our school division. We are seeing some issues in terms of our infrastructure, and so trying to address those up front before we get too far down this road. But personalized learning is definitely a conversation that we are having and talking more about, seeing how we might go about doing that in the future.
So it sounds like the school district as a whole sees technology integration as playing a significant role. What's your opinion of that as far as how significant a role that technology integration does play in developing effective instructional practices?
I think we've got to be careful. I think because I think too often we have teachers that think, oh, let me just grab a piece of technology, implement it in my lesson, and oh, I'm so much better, and I can check that box on my evaluation or my observation, and that is not what it's about at all. And I think too often teachers get into that mindset, and I think if we keep it focused on effective instructional practice and even productivity in our daily jobs outside of instruction, and think about how can we do things more efficiently and more effectively, I think if we can select the right tool, there are so many tools out there that can help us to be more effective and more efficient. And so I worry that teachers just grab a piece of technology and say, I'm just going to do it, rather than picking what's best for them, what's best for their kids, for a particular lesson, for a particular activity that they have going on in their classroom. So I think going through that process to say what's best for this time, for this place, and being able to select the best tool is critical.
So really more about pedagogy and teaching teachers how to use the right tool as opposed to how to use the tool itself.
Yeah, it's not about just one tool that's going to revolutionize everything that we do. It's about being able to choose the right tool.
Excellent. Talk about a little bit of the obstacles that you're aware of with regards to teachers attempting to integrate technology into the lessons. What's your awareness level of that?
I think teachers have a lot on them, and so there's only so much time in the day, and so you have some folks that try to keep up with all the different tools that are coming out and the resources that are available, and some that are focused in other areas. And so I think every year we know that each teacher has some goals that they are focusing on, and some might be focused more on one element of instruction versus another. And sometimes those just aren't focused on technology. They need to get down the basics of the concept or the idea before they can even start to expand into looking at what are some technology tools that might make it more effective or efficient. I think we see it a lot that teachers get frustrated with technology when it doesn't work exactly like it's supposed to, and that can be user error as well. And so they get frustrated when it doesn't work exactly like they want it to work, do what it's supposed to do, and so I see that as an obstacle. The other obstacle that I'll say is we just have not made the commitment, I think, to give teachers the support they need in terms of technology integration. We have 200 staff here at Princess Anne High School, and we have 2 computer resource specialists. And so too often those guys are more involved with troubleshooting rather than actually technology integration. And so we are taking some strides to move away from that, but it's a real issue. And that, with so many computers in a building, with a BYOD policy that allows all students to use their phones, use their devices, there's a lot of troubleshooting that takes place that really detracts from some of the technology integration that we want to see going on.
Excellent. So talk a little bit about, as from the office of the principal, your sphere of influence or the power that you possess. How do you see yourself impacting effective technology integration as a principal of Princess Anne High School?
I think I have a lot of opportunities to talk with teachers, administrators, and staff about instruction. And so during that conversation, I need to be aware of some of the tools that are available, some of the places to go and access some technology tools, and how to help teachers make it more effective and more efficient. Sometimes teachers don't have time to go out and research all the different tools that might be available, but if I can be knowledgeable about some of those, I can make some of those suggestions and really help to walk teachers through some of those processes. I think it's also important that I model technology integration when possible. We have tried to, this year we've done a little bit more with some of our communication with our community and our parents through using Twitter and getting that up and running, and so trying to get our administrative team on board with that, and then trying to really expand that to some of our staff, and we have more of our staff using Twitter as a tool in their classrooms now. And so I think modeling the use of technology in classrooms with teachers through professional development, through my daily life, through communication with parents, students, and other adults in our community. I think that's probably the impact that I can have, modeling it and in my daily conversations with teachers, with parents, with students in our community.
And so when you look at that, can you kind of expand on maybe what some of the limitations that you've experienced as you've tried to increase the support there for technology integration? What limitations do you face?
Me personally, or us as a school?
Either one.
I think I'll talk a little bit about both. I think personally, time. I mean, there's almost only so much time in the day, and I think as a high school administrator, we are out many nights, and also try to balance, your professional life with work, with a personal life with home, with kids and family, and so trying to really stay abreast of all the different tools and all the resources that are available, it becomes difficult because things are constantly evolving day after day. And so even though you might try to listen to podcasts on the way to and from work, even though you might try to try to check some of your feeds in the mornings or throughout the day, it makes it tough. One of the limitations we have here in Virginia Beach is several of the tools that I use on my phone or my devices are blocked within our school. And so during the hours of however long I'm at school, I sometimes don't have access to some of those things unless I go outside of our network. And so that is a huge limitation for us. I think in terms of limitations of our school, I mean, I talked about it just a minute ago, it's personnel, and it's some of the resources, some of the funding. So we, with our computer resource specialists, having only 2 for a staff of 300 is very difficult. So that's a huge limitation that's put on us. I think the other thing is a lot of our technology purchases and resources are supplied by our central office, and so sometimes that can be good, and sometimes that can really hinder us. For example, we just bought a set of laptops and the other day, and now they have said, oh, well, this is going to count against your total allocation, so we're not going to give you as many because you decided to go and buy some on your own. And so instead of supporting some of that, at least from my perspective and the school perspective, we feel like that that's not necessarily helping us, that it's someone else's gain because we've tried to go above and beyond and purchase more resources for our teachers. So those are just a couple of the few limitations that I see on me personally and on our school as a whole.
Sounds like rough waters to navigate sometimes, for sure. And one of those things that you mentioned really was the staff, and so trying to address that usually through professional development. What's your vision for providing professional development for teachers in the area of technology integration, if that is something that you even have a vision of?
I think that I go back and forth because I think, and part of me says that we've got to be careful about just providing professional development on technology and the tools itself, rather than let's continue to provide professional development on effective instructional practices and our needs, but model the use of technology through that lens. And so instead of just teaching a particular tool, well, let's teach about how you can use what are some of the ways you can formally assess students and monitor progress. Well, let's use a few tools that we find have been very helpful and model those for our teachers in the process of teaching that content. So I think for me, I feel like that is the best way to go about it, and then that turns it on the facilitator, the presenter, whoever's putting on the professional development, to be aware of some of those tools and some of those resources that are out there to be able to model that effectively. We do have teachers that help with our professional development that are not the best with technology and aren't aware of some of those tools. So how to match those folks up with some of our more experienced folks, some of our folks that are a little bit more savvy with some of the technology tools. I would also say, I think we have really got to look at the format in which we deliver professional development and figure out what's going to be best for our teachers and our staff. Time is, we've said time several times over these past couple minutes, and that is an issue. And so thinking about what's the best way to go about it. Are webinars a better format? Is something like Google Hangout or Skype? Is there other ways to deliver some professional development that might be a little bit better? What's gonna be the best follow-up for us? Because for us, we want to make sure our professional development, whether it's on technology or whatever, is not just a one-shot deal. And so we continue to build on that professional development throughout the year. And so what's going to be the best format for us? And I think there's a lot of technology tools that can help us with that. So I think in terms of integrating that into the professional development and the topics and the concepts that we were already teaching is going to be critical in modeling that, and then also looking at the different ways that we are delivering professional development and customizing our professional development to meet the needs of our teachers.
Excellent. Well, Dr. Smith, I appreciate your time today. I look forward to working with you in the future on technology integration.
Okay, thanks a lot.